Hey, this is Jeff, and welcome back to Fallout 3 Pacifism and More. Last time we took a little detour to Vault 101 for trouble on the home front because I wanted to make sure we got that done before the timer expired. I got Moira to repair the power armor off-screen. It wasn't as expensive since I combined it with the one from the library, and now the damage resistance is 26. Our next task is to search Vault 87 for a Gek, but Rothschild says we can't get in through the front door, so we have to find a back way in through Little Lamplight. The closest map marker is Smith Casey's garage, and I'm a little bit worried that something might have spawned at the nearby military checkpoint by now, but it's still probably safer than walking the whole way. Something's going on. Looks like some outcasts fighting robots. Excellent. Luz hasn't met any outcasts yet, and they're not very friendly at first, but at least they don't attack on sight. Fallout 3 doesn't have faction disguises like New Vegas, but they can't be that happy to see somebody in Brotherhood power armor. Maybe we won't talk to them. But we can loot the robot they destroyed and the rest of the checkpoint. Well, they are headed in the right direction, and the prospect of an armed escort is tempting, but they'll attract a lot of attention that we might be able to avoid on our own. If they end up in a big firefight with super mutants, we could get caught in the crossfire. The good news is, Yao Guai don't start spawning until level 9, at least not in random creature encounters. There are a couple placed directly on the map, but we won't be going anywhere near them. That's probably just mole rats or something. The bad news is we hit level 7 before finding Vault 87, so the second tier of super mutants will be spawning. The good news is that means it'll be a mix of regular super mutants and brutes. Masters don't spawn as leveled creatures until you hit level 16. Eyebot and a robobrain. Robobrain's gonna win that fight, so we'll just go around and stay out of sight. We know we can sneak around regular super mutants pretty effectively, and if we get spotted, we can tank the damage as long as we have an escape route. Brutes aren't too much worse, at least in terms of damage output. They're harder to kill, but that's not a problem for Luz. That eyebot lasted a lot longer than I expected. The bad news is brutes are more perceptive, and we have to get around them, so running away is really a last resort. If there's no other way, we have 6 stealth boys. I don't think there are any masters hard-coded in Vault 87, but if I'm wrong, it's stealth boy time, no questions asked. And there's a super mutant patrol. Hidden. Just keep walking. Damn it! Run away! Ow. I can't believe he chased me this far. No way can he get up that rock, though. Seriously? That had to be just a lucky parting shot. He can't chase us up here. Back to hidden, and we're almost to Lamplight. It just occurred to me, I probably should have taken Child at Heart instead of Lead Belly the last time I leveled up. Child at Heart guarantees MacCready will let you in, otherwise you have to pass a very hard speech check or do a side quest for him. But the way I'm role-playing Luz, Child at Heart really doesn't fit her character. I mean, being a pacifist in the wasteland might seem childishly naive, but innocent and saying what she really feels with no filter, not so much. In fact, sometimes she enjoys being disingenuous, at least when it's expedient. And we might as well loot the ticket booth while we're passing by.
Hold it right there, lady. Don't take another step or we'll blow your fucking head off.
Whoa, hold on there. I'm a friend.
You're big, and I don't have any big friends. You better just go out the way you came in.
But I really need to get to Vault 87. Do you know the way?
You don't want to go there. That's where the monsters are. We got pretty good at keeping them out. Probably better than you could do.
Probably so. What monsters?
The big ones. You know, the ones that sort of look like people, except they're all wrong.
Super mutants. So you know the way to get there?
Yeah, I do. But it's through Little Lamplight, and you're not getting into Little Lamplight. Guess you better find some other way, Mungo.
Oh, come on. I'm a nice gal, really. May I please come in?
You must think I'm stupid or something. I'm not falling for any of your tricks.
Well, that sucks. It was worth a shot. How can I get you to trust me?
Why should I trust you? I got no reason to. You Mungos are nothing but trouble. I ain't gonna let what happened to Sammy and Squirrel happen to anyone else.
Why? What happened to Sammy and Squirrel?
Them and Penny got themselves caught. By Mungos, just like you. Slavers from Paradise Falls. I told them to watch out, but the stupid kids didn't listen.
What if I go help Sammy and the others? Then will you trust me?
You do that? Maybe. If you can bring them back, I might let you in.
Okay. See you around, MacCready.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Well, that is unfortunate. Not least because Paradise Falls is halfway across the map. On the other hand, it's been about 2 weeks in-game since I promised to deliver that letter for Lucy, and I think Arefu's on the way. It'd be nice to have a fast travel marker in that part of the map. Okay. Nothing says, "Don't worry, everything's gonna be fine," like a random piece of meat rolling down the hill toward you. Yeah, Arefu's not on a straight line between here and Paradise Falls, but it's not very far out of the way. We'll set a custom marker and go there first. Okay, only the melee one is chasing us, so that's fine. But there's immediately more red on the compass in front of us. Radscorpion. That's not a problem. Definitely can't keep up. Sooner or later, we're going to need a venom gland, and the only way to get one is going to be to watch a fight between a scorpion and something that can kill it, and then not let that something kill us while we loot the scorpion. Or add venom glands to the loot lists for junk vendors like Wolfgang. Yeah, I like that idea. One more item for the to-do list. If you're used to Fallout 4, it's worth noting that wearing power armor does not negate fall damage in Fallout 3, so we need to be a little careful around cliffs. There we go. And there's a settlement right up here that I always thought about doing one of my little 5-minute trivia videos on. It's in the middle of nowhere, no map marker, and I'm sure a lot of people have never seen it, but it's pretty big. Multiple interiors, roughly comparable to Arefu in scale. And I think the residents just killed an eyebot, but they're also hostile to the player, so now is not the time. Lots of red on the compass up here. Giant ants stuck in the ground. Eyebot. More ants. Bloatflies. I love the wildlife in Fallout 3. Basically everything is hostile to everything else, so if you trigger more than one group to spawn and they see each other before they see you, you can be gone before any of them cause you trouble. Or if you're not a pacifist, stick around to mop up any wounded survivors. Another bloatfly. And there's a tiny settlement in the base of that power pylon. The residents are also hostile, but there's a skill book, one of the Keller family holotapes, and some other good loot, which Luz will not be collecting. A wild dog. That's why I have the lab coat hotkeyed. It can still outrun us, but it won't have nearly as long to chew on our ass. And there's the ramp to Arefu. Get away from the dog and we're home free. And another bloatfly. That was going so smoothly until all of a sudden it wasn't.
Hang on, you're not one of them. I nearly blasted you in two. Get over here before they spot you.
Is this how you greet all your visitors?
Now what the hell are you doing all the way out here?
I have this letter for the West family.
That's great, but I got bigger problems than being the town post office right now.
What kind of trouble?
Well, at first they do their typical gang bullshit. You know, break stuff and make lots of noise. But they always kept their distance. But this last time, they went too far. They killed all of our Brahmin. I mean, that's our lifeblood out here, you know.
Speech check? What's got you so spooked?
Look, you can call me crazy if you want, but there is something odd about those creeps. I mean, they got the guns and they got the muscle. Why don't they just bust down our doors and take us out already? We're really in a bad way and could use some help.
I'm kind of busy, but I guess I can help. What do you need?
I don't want to take my eyes off the ramp here. There's no telling when the family will return. Can you do me a favor and check on the other people's houses here? You know, make sure they're doing okay? Speak with Davis West, Karen Shenzi, and Ken Ewers.
Evan didn't ask us to check his own house, but just to be thorough. We'll need the utility suit to pick this lock. Right here on his kitchen table, we have the repair bobblehead. Nice. There's also a ton of ammo upstairs, which Luce doesn't need, although it is valuable. But everything in here except the bobblehead is marked as stealing, and I really don't want to risk dropping below neutral karma for reasons we'll see shortly. And the last house is the Wests. And they are not okay. The bodies of the Wests have bite marks on the neck area that go to the bone. If our medicine skill was higher, we could do a more detailed analysis, but that's not necessary. It just gives you a better hint of what you'll run into later. If your medicine skill is lower, it basically just says, the Wests are dead. Like, yeah, I noticed. Anyway, let's go tell Evan. The good news is Karen Shenzi and the Ewers are okay. The bad news is the Wests are dead.
The family must have gotten to them in the last attack. Sons of bitches. Wait a minute. When you searched the West's place, did you find their son Ian's body?
No, I only found the parents.
This has to be the work of the family. I've caught that weirdo leader of theirs talking to Ian down by the river. Look, I know I've asked a lot of you already, but you have to find that kid. He deserves better than all this.
Well, I still need to deliver this letter. If you think Ian's with the family, where can I find them?
I think they live somewhere east or northeast of here. Problem is, they always travel in the dark, so I can't see exactly where they go. There's all kinds of places they could be hiding, like Hamilton's Hideaway, the old Moonbeam Cinema, or Northwest Seneca Metro Station.
The metro station is right on the way to Paradise Falls, but Luce has a bad feeling about it. And not because of the family, or even, say, drug dealers. Nothing wrong with the occasional recreational chemical. She's sensing the mercenaries and bounty hunters have ambushed a huge number of victims on this very spot kind of aura. By which I mean this is one of the most common places for Talon mercs to spawn, or regulators if you have evil karma. Which is why we're being so careful about staying neutral. Dead Wastelander. Waste not, want not. And looks like we have some people.
You're not here to try and steal my secrets, are you?
Steal your secrets? Not at all.
Good. I was afraid I was going to have to abandon my lab here. That would mean starting all over again. It's not easy trying to make Ultrajet, you know. It takes 3 things to make Ultrajet. 2 of the ingredients I got plenty of. The other one is a little harder to find. Sugar bombs. For every box of sugar bombs you bring me, I'll pay you 15 caps. So you in?
Make it 30 and you've got a deal.
Fine, anything to get what I need. Now scram, I got some preparing to do.
Wait,
So what did you bring me?
have you ever heard of the family?
Sure, I stay away from them and they don't bother me. It's a good relationship. They live somewhere east of here. If you're feeling foolish, I think there's an underground way through their place, deeper into the metro station here.
Thanks. I have to go now.
Yep, do what you gotta do.
At least he didn't add any more missing kids to the list. And Ultrajet is just as useless to lose as regular jet, but the value of sugar bombs just went up from 5 caps a box max, usually lower unless you put a lot of points into barter skill, to 30 caps a box guaranteed, which is elite tier value to weight ratio. And there are Mirelurks in here, so we need to be careful. If we don't move, we should be okay. Or not. Come on, nothing. Damn it. Run. Turn on the light because there's a tripwire. Which I can't disable for some reason. Jump it. No time to screw around with a Mirelurk chasing us. But if it triggers the trap... No? Smarter than your cousins in Pinkerton's lab, huh? Well, I'll take those grenades then. And excuse me for a minute. I'm gonna clear all the traps out of this place before I find the family, just so we have a nice safe path to the exit.
Whoa, slow down there. This area's off limits to everyone but the family. Where the hell do you think you're going?
Speech check. I really need to get by you. It's important that I find what I'm looking for.
I don't care what you need. This place is off limits and that's that.
Is it now? I was wondering what I could do with all these spare caps I have.
Sounds like an interesting problem. Let me take 100 of those off your hands. You know, lighten the load.
That's very helpful. Here you go.
I suggest taking the door around the corner if you want to get where I think you're going. You'll find it unlocked in a moment. If I were you, I'd speak to Vance before you poke around too much. You can usually find him on the mezzanine overlooking the common area.
True to his word, Robert now unlocks the gate. Everything in this area is marked as stealing with one exception, and I'm not 100% sure why, but I won't look a gift horse in the mouth. There's a skill book over here on this table. Lockpick. Unlike bobbleheads, which are never marked as stealing, skill books are usually marked as being owned by whatever character or faction owns the rest of the loot where you find them, but this one isn't. If I had to guess, I'd say it probably wasn't put here when the quest was being developed, but toward the end when they were trying to even out the skill books so there was an equal number of each in the game, and they put this one here but forgot to set the ownership. Anyway, as I mentioned the first time we talked to Lucy, Blood Ties is a quest that has a peaceful resolution in the vanilla game, no modding required. It's not quite as cut and dried as Trouble on the Home Front that the non-violent solution is the right solution, but given the amount of characters and dialogue and other clues, compared to just killing everybody in the family, it seems to me that this was the game designer's preferred solution. Not to mention that there's a shop where you can do trading if you don't piss them off. And there's Vance, who seems to be having some trouble with his sword. I think you're wearing that wrong. And your flames are frozen. Okay. Let's jump on top of that train car and see if he gets straightened out when we come back upstairs. Which is worth doing because...
Give it a rest, will you?
Another skill book. Speech. Read that right now.
Okay, I guess. You got the cash, I got the time.
Oh. I'm usually the one doing the flirting, but I'll keep it in mind. And Vance is still glitching.
Welcome to Meresti, human. Welcome to our home. My people call me Vance. I lead this group of weary travelers and outcasts who need a home. And to what do I owe the pleasure of your visit?
This place actually isn't very different from any of the other settlements I've seen. General store, lodging, sex worker. Seems pretty normal, really. So what is this place?
What you see before you is the last bastion of hope for the downtrodden and misunderstood. It is a sanctuary for the oppressed and a beacon of faith for the tyrannized. I led my flock beneath the sun-baked sands of the wasteland to keep them safe and teach them my ways. Men of science would call us cannibals, eaters of human flesh. Society labels us as monsters, demons, and the unclean.
I won't push my luck with another hard speech check. What do you mean?
Humans call for our extermination or reform. Reforming implies something is wrong with us and needs to be eliminated. I think of my teachings as more of an improvement, a way to transcend our cannibalistic nature.
If I accept that you're no longer cannibals, what do I call you?
Your open-mindedness is very rare for a human. I find that fascinating. Allow me to bolster your insight with a lesson in objectivity. I say we are no longer cannibal, only consuming the blood of our prey. What would that make us in your eyes?
I'm fascinating, huh? But I have no idea.
Then that is a mystery you will have to solve on your own. In ceremony, each member of the family must speak one of the laws. It is theirs to remember and to enforce. Perhaps from these laws you can discover what we are. Return to me when you are ready.
If we had higher medicine skill, we'd have been able to tell that the Wests had been exsanguinated, and it would be even more obvious what's going on.
Hello there, stranger.
But we'll talk... Whoa. Justin just phased through a table.
I've never seen you around here before.
Okay, now it's obvious. They can become non-corporeal. Nosferatu! Dracul! Anyway, you can get the super quick version of their laws on this terminal, which I thought was locked and was a crime to hack, but I guess it's unlocked after you talk to Vance. I'm not going to do it that way because I want to talk to everybody, but it is worth reading the notes. Regarding Arefu, I do not want an incident like this happening ever again. I was very clear that we are not to represent ourselves in a hostile way. The killing of the town's Brahmin was an act that was both unnecessary and potentially damaging to my work. I'm dealing with a very delicate situation in this town, and I will not have it undermined by actions of revenge on humankind. Our time will come, I promise you. Which, glass half empty, they're just not prepared for an all-out attack yet. But glass half full, it sounds like Vance legit wants to coexist, and it's just hard for him to keep his followers on the path because they've been bullied and persecuted, and they want to lash out now that they feel a little bit of empowerment.
I don't think we've been properly introduced. I'm Holly, Vance's wife.
Damn, he's not single. Tell me about your laws.
Each of us is required to speak one of the laws when we hold our ceremonies. I say the first law. Feast not on the flesh, consume only the blood. This is our strength.
I'm looking for Ian West. Have you seen him?
I'm afraid Vance has him in isolation, and there's no way I'm going to override Vance's orders. He's a good kid. I think Vance will set him along the correct path soon, like he did for all of us.
Oh, nice. This is one of the rare times that a persuasion challenge is straight up based on your charisma stat and not a percentage chance based on your speech skill. Which charisma factors into those too, but that's a whole other can of worms. Anyway, hey, I'm just here to help. All I want to do is be someone he can talk to.
Well, I guess so. You seem like a pretty nice guy. Vance will have my butt in a sling if he finds out. But let me give you the password to his room.
I know it's kind of hard to tell in power armor, and I'm not offended or anything, but I'm not actually a guy. Please help me understand your laws.
When we all gather in the common area, Vance gives his speeches, and then we each have like a law to say. Mine is, bear not the child, welcome only the exile. This is our fate. Kinda cool, huh?
Oh, right. The third law is feed not for pleasure, partake only to nourish. This is our dignity. Whew, almost forgot it again.
I thought I knew everyone in the family, but I don't recognize you. You must be one of Vance's new initiates. So, my law is the fourth one. Seek not the sun's light. Embrace only the shadows. This is our refuge.
When Vance stands on that balcony and starts mouthing off like some kind of preacher, it makes me want to puke. But if I want to keep this place stocked, I gotta have his permission. So I learned his fifth law. Kill not our kindred. Slay only the enemy. This is our justice. Pretty silly if you ask me.
Guess he's downstairs. Oh, perfect timing.
Villains, criminals, animals. Every one of us has been branded with these insults at some point in our lives. But why? Are we that different from those who hunt for meat to survive, or for those who kill for territory? Of course not. I submit to you that we are the victims of evolution, the next step in mankind's acclimation to this hellish existence. The adaptation we were given wasn't meant to be ignored or persecuted. It's our way of survival. We cannot allow the humans to hunt us down and kill us like dogs. We must show them we are a force to be reckoned with. Well, rest easy now, my brothers and sisters. It's time to stop all of the running, all of the hiding, and all of the denying. We will organize, we will prepare, we will teach you to cope with your differences, and we will keep you alive. We are the family, and together
You new here
we will
too?
stand united.
Howdy, cutie.
Hello again.
That speech is super rare unless you abuse the wait key.
You wish to speak to me again?
I think I finally understand what you people are.
Indeed. Tell me what you've learned from the laws. What do you think we are?
You're vampires. Or at least you follow their fictional traditions.
Do you think I believe I can turn into a bat and fly away? Of course not. Do I cast my image in a mirror? Absolutely. Now, ask me if I believe these individuals from every corner of the wasteland need me to give them a sense of purpose and identity. I have shown these people the ways of the vampire. I've provided them shelter, organization, and a sense of belonging.
Sadly, these are all kind of rude. But the least offensive is, you do this by teaching them that they're mythical beings? Which they clearly are. I mean, we literally just saw Justin disapparate through a table.
Now you disappoint me. You need to open your mind and think for a moment before you pass judgment. I have reined in their cravings and taught them to eat not of the flesh, but to drink of the blood. Most importantly, they have a family. A place where their quirks are tolerated and understood.
I approve of that wholeheartedly, Vance. But the real reason I came here is that I've been searching for a young man named Ian West.
Ah, yes, my newest charge. What would you want with him?
I have a letter for him from his sister.
Then a part of his human family still remains? Even more of a reason he needs to remain in isolation. Ian is at a critical moment in his life right now. After all that occurred in Arefu, he is scared and confused. It would be ill-advised for me to allow you to speak to him while he decides what he wants to do.
Wait a minute. What happened to him?
Ian's hunger for flesh overwhelmed him. It drove him to kill his parents. Because of my intervention that night, he stopped just short of being lost forever to his cravings for flesh. The hunger that drives us must be kept in check. It is one of the most difficult things to teach. Ian lost control because no one was around to guide him. His own family was alien to him.
Speech check. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. This letter is all Ian has left of his old life. Allow me to give it to him.
No, it would not be right to disturb him in this time of meditation. I am sorry, but I cannot allow it.
While it's possible they're just people who were driven to cannibalism by necessity and Vance is using vampire mythology to help them cope with PTSD, it's strongly implied that it actually is a mutation. And I don't mean the Bethesda physics glitch with Justin phasing through the table. The biggest hint is Ian himself. Arefu is poor, but not the starvation level poor that would account for him killing his parents and starting to eat them. I mean, they had a Brahmin ranch until the family killed their livestock, which probably happened the same night Ian attacked his parents. Based on some background conversations that didn't trigger this time, Vance wanted them to create a diversion while he rescued Ian, and Karl just got carried away. Anyway, with the password Holly gave us, we can enter Ian's room. And he's in isolation, so nobody ever wanders up here. We don't have to worry too much about getting caught. So, let's see what he has to say.
Huh? How'd you get in here? Huh? What do you want?
I've been looking for you.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I'm sure Evan King is pretty pissed right about now. I bet he has the entire town out looking for me. He's worse than my parents.
I'm sorry, Ian, but your parents are dead.
You think I don't know that? You think I don't know what I did?
So it is true. Yes, I know. Vance told me everything.
Then you must think I'm some kind of a monster.
Some kind of monster! Sorry, the timeline diverged in the mid-20th century, so Metallica probably doesn't exist in this universe. Anyway, maybe I can help you.
Help? How can you help? There's something inside me, something completely messed up. I'm a mutant, a fucking freak. The only person I was ever able to talk to was my sister Lucy, and she's gone. No one gives a shit about me except Vance and the family. Can't you understand that?
Well, not to be glib, but I admit that what happened with your parents would make a reunion with Lucy kind of awkward. And Vance seems to have everybody's best interests at heart. I actually do think you belong here with the family.
Thank you for understanding. This place is all I've got, and I don't want to lose it. Would you speak to Vance for me? I still need some time alone before I'm ready to talk to anyone else.
I hear that you decided to speak to Ian regardless of my warnings. Be that as it may, I am still interested in what you conversed about. Did he come to a decision?
Before I talk about Ian, there's still the matter of Arefu to discuss.
As long as you maintain this level of civility, please proceed.
Finally, an embarrassment of riches with the persuasion options. Intelligence. Let's go with medicine. Vampires can drink any kind of human blood, even from blood packs.
Curious. Many years ago, I survived by drinking from fresh blood packs I recovered from hospital ruins. The problem was that these blood packs were scarce. What do you propose?
Arefu donates blood packs, and in exchange, you protect them.
Agreed. Please, take this proposal to Arefu. Speak with them, and then return to me with their decision. I thank you for showing me that your kind can be trusted after all. It is a lesson I will not forget. Now, what of young Ian? Tell me his decision.
Ian's decided to stay with the family.
When you first arrived, I was suspicious of your intentions. I can see now it was an error in judgment. I can assure you Ian will be well cared for and safe with the family.
I'm surprised to see you. Thought you'd run for the hills. Well, holy shit, you're back. What the hell happened out there?
It's done, Evan. The family will never bother Arefu again.
I don't know how you did it, but goddamn am I glad you walked up that ramp and lent us a hand. What about Ian? Did you find him?
A selection of lies. Dead is probably the hardest to verify, but let's not depress him. He's fine. He's living with Lucy now.
You're just full of surprises today, aren't you? Thanks again, kid. Consider yourself welcome back here any time you're in this part of the wastes.
I have a proposal for you from Vance, the family's leader.
Interesting. It seems they wish to enter into some kind of agreement. I guess it's better than pointing my gun down that ramp all day and hiding inside at night. Let Vance know he's got a deal. We'll do it. I'll speak to the others. I'm sure they'll agree with me.
Arefu has accepted your proposal, Vance.
Excellent. I knew you would serve as an ambassador for us in good faith. I will dispatch Alan to Arefu immediately to help serve as their guardian and honor my end of the agreement. Your efforts surpass those of the average human. In fact, I feel almost like you are a member of our flock. If you ever wish to learn our ways, you have but to ask.
Well, I'm kind of already a member of the Church of Adam, but that sounds very interesting, Vance. Now, a glass-half-empty interpretation might be that Luz is like a moth to a flame with every weirdo cult she encounters, but I think she'd say she's following her own path to enlightenment, internalizing truth wherever she finds it, and not being boxed into any one philosophy. Can you teach me the ways of the vampire?
To be a vampire is a life commitment. It is not achieved by my words. It is something you earn by your own will and sincere meditation. Sadly, I cannot fully make you one of us, but I can teach you how the lifeblood of others brings us regenerative powers. Since your body lacks the way to extract blood as we do, you must find alternative sources for your nourishment.
Vance's teachings have granted you the ability to regain 20 hit points from the consumption of blood packs. Potentially useful in a pinch. After all that, I feel like I owe it to you to tell you all about Adam. But I have some kids to rescue, so maybe next time?
I'm certain our paths will cross again.
Now, like Trouble on the Home Front, these non-violent side quests don't have a lot of dead air to edit out, so I think I'm going to save, and we'll head to Paradise Falls next time. This was shaping up to be another episode with no mod features to show you in the GEC, but I didn't know before I started that there was a bug in Holly's dialogue where she says you seem like a nice guy even if you're female. And I didn't realize until I sat down to listen to Vance's sermon that I forgot to change out of the utility suit after I broke into Evan King's house, so you can't even blame it on wearing power armor. It's not a condition set wrong, she just doesn't have a line for a female protagonist at all. So I did a mashup in Audacity and overrode that topic in APAM dialogue. The override has a condition that checks if the player is female. If so, that's the one she'll say. If not, the conditions won't match and she'll default to her vanilla line, the male version. And while I was in her dialogue, I noticed she also has an option to bypass the speech check if you have the Scoundrel perk. That's one of the ones where the description in the game says it just adds bonus skill points, but apparently they also have other effects the game doesn't tell you about, like this. Anyway, this line has the same gender identification issue as the charisma check, so I fixed it too. Fortunately, I had a save not long before I talked to her, so with the fix in place, hey, I'm just here to help. All I want to do is be someone he can talk to.
Well, I guess so. You seem like a pretty nice girl. Vance will have my butt in a sling if he finds out, but let me give you the password to his room.
And there we go. She no longer calls you a guy if you're female. Also, I had that idea about radscorpion venom glands, and I decided to do it sooner rather than later. Which in and of itself is pretty trivial, but it opens a slightly bigger can of worms when it comes to mod updates. If a mod has things it needs to set up the first time you activate it, standard procedure is to do that in the game mode block of a quest script with a variable that ensures it only runs once. That would typically look something like this, which works fine, but becomes a problem if you update the mod later and the update also needs some first-time setup. So, rather than a simple do once in the quest script, I added a global variable, PAM version, which I should have had in version 1.0, but better late than never. You should use globals sparingly because most of the time a variable is only used in a limited context, like within the quest script or object script where it's declared. But this is one of those infrequent cases where it's hard to anticipate where checking the version number might be necessary in the future, so I did make it a global. Then I added a new quest, APAM Updates, which has the Start Enabled flag, so we don't need code anywhere else to start it, and gave it a quest script. That script checks the version number. If it's less than 110, it runs the 110 update code and updates the version to 110. It's okay for this script to keep running all the time because it only runs once every 5 seconds, and if the version number is already at the latest update, all it runs is that one comparison, which literally only takes nanoseconds to check. So future updates can just add if blocks for their own version numbers. The code that does run after the first time you install the update isn't particularly complicated in this case. We call add item to leveled list, which does exactly what it sounds like. It adds an item to one of the lists the game uses to generate random loot in containers and character inventories. The list we want is vendor miscellaneous items, which is used by junk dealers like Wolfgang and general stores like Moira and Seagrave. The item we add is a radscorpion poison gland, and the last 3 parameters are the level we want the item to start spawning, which I made 5, the same level radscorpions start spawning in random encounters, the item count, which is 1 because we don't need vendors to have tons of them, and item health, which only applies to weapons and armor, but I set it to 1. And there are a ton of other items in that list, and vendors typically have maybe 10 random items from the list in their inventory, so it's far from guaranteed that any given vendor will have one at any given time, but one should spawn eventually. And that's it. As always, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Tell me in the comments if you have other suggestions for side quests that need changes to make a no-kill run possible or just less annoying, and I'll see you next time.